Hello. This week, I'm basically going through some of my old trees, and I've decided, well, if I show you on this one, look, it's been battered a bit through gameplay, and also it's starting to shed a bit too much. And to be honest, I don't really like the overall colour of it either. I've got quite a lot more than this. And you'll no doubt see them during the course of the video, but basically what I'm doing is I'm just stripping off all this old stuff because I can reuse the sprue and I can reuse the base, but I just think I could probably make it a bit of a neater job of it. Like everything, you gain a bit more experience over time, and I just think I could make them look a little bit better than they are. And I've put up with them for a long while, and some of them are looking worse for wear, as you'll see. These are probably the least badly worn, but still, you know, there's a lot about them that I'm not happy with, so I might as well do this. But underneath this one, it isn't the same on all of them. This is a pre-bought sprue. But there are others where I've made them out of twisted wire. So I need to redo those as well. Right, so basically all I've done is I've picked everything off. There's a few more straggly hairs, but I'll get those off in a minute. But let me get all these done, and then I'll bring you back when I'm looking at what we're going to do with them next. Right, so while I'm on this job, I'm also going to do some of my snow trees. Now I think you can see what's wrong with these straight away. I'm not sure how clear it is, but if I bring that up, if you look at this, yes, I've got some coming up, but that's not the issue. Basically, I obviously experimented with different types of snow, because these are very old trees now, and as a consequence, I don't know whether you can see that, the snow is yellowing, which is quite common if you don't use the right stuff. You can, whichever way you go, you can mix some paint in with the snow when you're making up these bits to leave clumps on the tree. But whatever route I went down when I first made these ones, I didn't do it, and so they're yellowing. And you'll see what I mean if I bring one that hasn't. Now, to be fair, this is a black brush, so of course the white's going to stand out more. And these are never going to look the same as them because they are a green tree. Whereas these are more just a black branch that's been whited up. But nevertheless, if I can crumble off some of this old yellow stuff, and as you can see, I've been doing that here, look. You can see all the rubbish. If I can get some of that off, I may be able to turn some of these trees around and, re-add the snow effect once I've took off the old clumps. As I say, they still will look different from these, but then you get different types of spruce tree anyway. The fact that they're green and the other ones are black, that's going to make it stand out as, being slightly different. But if I get off most of this yellowing snow, we can have a look at repairing them when we get to these ones. So I just thought I'd share that. But like I say, I can bring in another one of the white trees. You see, these ain't quite so yellow, but they do look different anyway, because, one's black and one's green. Well, I say black, it's a very, very dark green, the base of that tree, whereas this one is a lot lighter. But nevertheless, you know, we should be able to blend these in and re-snow them. Saves them going to waste. Right, we'll come back to them later on. I'm going to carry on and get as much of the rough stuff off as I can, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Right, so as you can see, I've got quite a bit off these, and they are starting to look a little bit better. Obviously there's still quite a bit on there, still a bit of yellowing. So what I'm going to try is, I'm going to try and give these, not really a dry brush, but something like that with some of the white paint first, just to lighten up some of the yellowing bits that are on the actual ends of the branches. But at the moment they're looking better already. So let me get this tidied up, and then I'll bring some paint back and I'll show you what I mean. And at the end of the day, I've got, you know, as I see it with these, I've got two choices. I can either abandon them altogether, or sit picking at them for the rest of my life, and probably end up dumping them. And I don't really want to do that, because they're not bad looking trees. They just need curing of this yellowing. So let's see if we can do that. Right, back in a minute. Right, I've got some titanium white here. Just try and put this on, and then if I think it's going to need a bit more of the snowdrop on it, I've got some snow effect that I can use on that. Stab it in it as well, so I can get it in among the branches. As I say, they're not going to be perfect, but I think I can get a bit more life out of them, and that, I'd be happy with that, to be honest. How's that looking? I think that's more passable. As I say, it's not the way that I'd do it to start with, but to recirculate these trees and just put a bit of life back into them so they look okay on the table, I think this is going to work. I mean, I don't mind replacing the odd one, you know, because it's nice to, you know, use new skills that you develop to make them. But obviously, something like this, it's good if you can recycle it and get some more use out of it. I mean, the good thing about, you know, doing things like this is You can sometimes pick up some second-hand trees quite cheap, you know, that have been a bit play-worn, and with a few little touches like this you can make them look acceptable. I mean, if you compare that to that one, I think you can see the difference. Especially on this one, you can see how yellowed that one is. I mean, what might be useful is to mix a little bit of glue in with the white paint. I don't want to do too much of that because I don't want to start binding all the branches together, but it might be worth trying a little bit of that, just so it bonds a lot better. Right, I'll put a bit more white paint in and I'll add a bit of glue and we'll try that and see if that can make this one look a bit better. Right, I've mixed up a bit of white paint and I've added a little bit of glue this time. Don't want to be too vigorous with this because I don't want to be splashing white paint all over myself. I don't want to overkill it because obviously you want a bit of the green showing through. I'll give the base a bit of a dab as well because some of that's a bit discoloured. Right, how's that one looking? Again, if I compare it to one that I haven't done it on, I think you can see a difference. Obviously with the glue that's going to give it a little bit more longevity. I mean, what you could do on this as well, I don't really feel these need it at the moment, is you could, while it's got the glue and the paint on it, you could drop a little bit of white snowflakes onto it as well. But these don't look too bad without it at the moment. But certainly, I think I wouldn't want to put that on my table as it is, but once that's dry, I'd be happy enough with that one. Right. Let me crack on and get the rest of these done and then we'll have a look at them at the end. Oh, I decided to give these a little touch of snow. I think that'll help bring the natural look back. Putting plenty on, most of it will shake off, but we go. Good thing about that is where it catches up in the glue, you'll get that gloopy looking hanging snow as well. What do you think? I think that looks a lot more acceptable. It's probably not as good as doing it afresh, but I think that's going to look okay on a table. I'm quite happy with that, you know, because I didn't really want to lose these trees. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with how that's turned out, really. Shake them all off. Right, I'll get this done, clean up, and we'll have a quick look at them at the end. Well, I don't think they've come out too bad, really. As I've said, they're not perfect, but they're very usable again. And that's what I wanted to achieve, really. Obviously, these have took the least bit of work. Obviously, we've got to go back to the green trees now, and that's going to be a lot more involved. This is a bit of a quick fix, really, for these. I think basically what it is, the brush material these are made from, whatever was on them originally, bleeds into the snow anyway. And I think, you know, there will be the odd bit here and there that's going to yellow again, but on the whole, they don't look too bad. And if I get another 4 years gaming out of them, that'll do me. So I think with that, I'm going to call the snow ones fixed. And what we'll do now is we'll turn our attention to the other ones. So what I'm doing now is I'm turning my attention to these trees. And the first part that I'm going to do, I don't want to overwhelm these, and I want them to be a little bit more defined. So rather than making using lots of this, I'm just pulling off small parts of it and then spreading it out into manageable pieces, but keeping it fairly small. I'm just going to keep doing this for a while until I've got quite a few of them, because once I start the sticky part of the process, you know, it's better to keep moving rather than stopping. What I'm using, you're probably familiar with it, is it's some leftovers from when I've made edges of the rubberized horsehair material. You know, we use it a lot. I use it on hedges and bushes and trees. But for this, I'm using it slightly differently because I'm wanting smaller parts, so I can still see the main branch structure through the tree. Right, let me carry on doing a few more of these and then I'll bring you back. Right, so what I'm doing now is I'm using this contact liquid glue by UHU, and I'm just putting a small amount of it on each branch, because that's going to catch this horsehair that I've separated, and that's just to get that onto it, and then we can leave them to dry. I'm not going wild, I'm just pouring just enough on to catch that stuff on the end of each branch. Put a little bit on that one as well. You want to make sure that you've got each branch. It's a bit annoying to have to go in and put it on afterwards if you've started bushing it up, because it gets a lot harder then. Right, now all I'm going to do now is all these little bits that I've broke up, I'll put a little bit of it onto each of those. Obviously based on, you know, how big the branch is. You don't want too much, otherwise it's going to obscure all the branches again, and that's not what I want. Once this is dried, any that are a bit over, you know, or sticking out in odd directions, like this one you can see, I'll trim to make it how I want it. But you can see, doing it like this, you're using next to no material, and the good thing is it's a great way of using offcuts. And that's it. Not very much at all, really. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that set now, and once it's set, I'll just trim off any obvious long ones, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a quick blast of brown primer, only a light blast because I want a little bit of that colour to show through, and then we can look at adding the actual greenery. But it gives it a lot more of an open aspect, you know, looking up through it. You know, trouble is when you put too much on it, just doesn't look real. Right, let me get the rest of these done, and then I'll bring you back. Right, so as you can see, these are totally dry now, and I gave them a quick blast of brown primer just to take these twigs down to a more neutral looking colour. I've left it, I've not absolutely blasted it, you can see some of the natural colour coming through. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paste some glue onto these, some basing glue. I'm going to spread it out a bit, and I'm doing it by hand as opposed to spraying it on, so I can control where it's going, because I don't want all the leaves sticking to the trunk and everything else, and I want these to be more lightly covered. And that's Kia trying to get my attention. Yeah, she's with us at the moment. Isn't you, Kia? do them one at a time. Then, you know, what I'll do is I'll scatter some leaves on this one in a minute, and then I'll get the others done off camera, and then we can come back and have a look at them all when they're finished. I'm actually going to apply it a little bit underneath as well, because otherwise it's going to look bare from under. So I want a little bit. Right, I'll put that in the middle of the tray. Now I've got two lots of leaf cover that I got from Geek Gaming. This is a mid-green, which is what I'm going to try first, and then highlight it with the lighter stuff. And what I'm going to do first is a little scatter from underneath. Do. And now from above. Right, so that's what that's looking like now, look. But obviously what I want to do is give it the highlight colour. But first of all, I'm going to let this dry a bit, and I'm going to get the others to the same stage, and then I'll bring you back. Right, so now that they've all been done, what I'm going to do, just because I've got it really, but you could use watered down PVA. I've got some of this foliage spray, so I'm going to give them a quick blast outside of that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly scatter on some lighter leaf on the top branches only, you know, to imitate catching the light. So just bear with me while I give them a quick spray. Right, and I'm just going to add just a light touch of the lighter colour, just to break up the green and make it look like it's catching the sun. Not sure how that's showing up in this light. I've got a few bits on the trunk here which I'll just brush off when it's dry. But it just brings them to life a little bit. And at the end of the day, they're a lot better than they were in my collection. They were looking a little bit ropey. But then you get that with, I mean, obviously you're handling these all the time, so you're gonna get wear and tear on them. But it's just made use of these again rather than getting rid of them and starting afresh. I'll do a little bit more on that one actually. When I come to seal them, you know, if I think it needs a bit more, I will give it a little touch more, but I'm pretty happy with them. And they're nearly done now, so I'm going to leave them to dry. When they're dry, we'll come back and I'll sort out the bases and tidy them up a bit. And then we'll seal them again and that'll be it finished. Right, I'll see you in a minute. Right, just forgive this bit of freehand camera work to finish off with. As you can see, they've dried now, and what I've done is I've just refreshed the tufts around the bottom and you know, just cleaned it up a little bit from what was done in the past. But you can see they're all highlighted now, and there's the Christmas ones that we did earlier. And basically what I've done is I've got a bit more use out of some old trees. And the thing I like about these, right, I don't know whether I've showed you this one. I tidied this one up on camera, off camera I think. And I've added a bit of a highlight to that as well. And redone the bottom a little bit. And this is, you know, this is a little wire one that I made so you can bend it to the shape you want. But this one, I would say, you know, is in full leaf. And that's the style of the tree, so it works. And what I wanted from these was to have something that looked a bit different. You know, so I've got some different styles of trees rather than, you know, duplicates of the same type. And I think they've achieved that. Well, considering they were on the verge of, you know, being thrown out or whatever. You know, they'd been knocked about. I'm quite pleased to get some more use out of these and add a bit more variety to the table. So that's it complete. So it just shows you really, you know, you can always refurbish something, or, you know, if you're not happy with the way you did something a few years ago, why not refresh it, you know, rather than starting from scratch. You know, just try and use it again. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. If you have, please consider giving me a thumbs up, or even subscribing for when the next video drops. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.